Welcome to
Okay.
everyone. I've got my friend here, Kowen V.
Hey, how's it, guys?
So he owns a business. It's a basically it's an internet shopping. It's an online store, basically, yes. And welcome, Mr. Kowen.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, no, you got the half of the business thing correct. We do, well, majority of our things are towards like online grocery shopping and stuff like that. But the company is called Airnd because we run, errands for people. So it's, parcel pickups, license renewals, whatever you could think of, we probably do it.
Wow. That's actually so cool that you run errands for people. Now, my biggest question, firstly, is how old are you, if I may ask? For the ladies out there, I'm just kidding.
I don't think I should do my age then. I don't think I should give it, I should keep them guessing.
Okay, plus minus. Let's put it in between. Which range? 20 to 25? Or is it from...
I'd say 20. I say, just to protect myself, let me say 23 to 26. I think that's a good...
Okay.
23 to 36.
That's actually the nice part about it, because you're a young guy, and now you've got this business that's actually I saw your business flourish during a time when people were really in a very bad space with regards to COVID-19, and that was in 2020, and that blew my mind, because now you're a young guy and you're at that moment you're staying at home and you've got this business, and I was thinking, how is this guy gonna do this? But you did it. So just like take us through the journey of, firstly, how this business started.
Cool. I'm actually getting goosebumps now just thinking of the story way back when. So I started this business as a side hustle, actually. So I started it in my final year of varsity, because obviously, like, you want to earn some extra cash and that type of thing. And then my final year of varsity, I was like, I came to the realization that what I'm studying is not really like I'm not meant for the office life. Like, I like to be out and about. I like to be operational. I like to be everywhere, and I like to have a say on what I sort of do. And so I was like, I think I was like 20, and then in my final year, and then I told my parents, and you can imagine how that conversation went, in my final year, listen, by the way, I don't want to do what I'm studying.
Wow.
So then my parents were like,
for interest sake,
cool.
before you continue, for interest sake, what did you study?
Investment management.
Oh, okay. Now, so you continue your story,
yeah. So I was studying investment management, and it wasn't how I thought it was going to be in my head. And I sort of spent a lot of time with myself, and I was like, hey, what do I really want to do? Because I was young, I am still young.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I was like, let me just see what happens. And then my parents were like, okay, cool, you can go. And then, sorry about that. And then they were like, cool, you can go, you can do whatever. But if you don't have anything started or running by next year, we're going to, kick you out on your own. That type of thing, which is fair,
Yeah.
So then I started Airnd as a side hustle, and then sort of just grew. And then after, I still completed my degree, by the way. So
that's awesome.
So then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take this side hustle full time and see how it goes. And I was like, because in my final year, what I was doing was I was going from uni from 7:30 in the morning till like 12:30, and then rushing home. And then from like 1:30 till like 7-8 at night, I was busy running Airnd and that type of thing. And then after that, I was still finishing off and studying. And like I said, I was still finishing my degree in my final year. So I still had to finish all that work and stuff like that. So literally, like, while everyone else was like out partying and, it's your final year, you're supposed to, let loose and everything like that. Then I was like, I was like, no, I want to take this far. And I knew the sacrifices that I was going to have to make at that point, especially. Like I didn't even have a December that year. I remember. And, for South African to not have a December,
It's
well,
not
now
the
you
way
guys
to
know how it
go.
feels, actually. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows how it feels to get their December taken away from them.
Yeah, it does.
From so
Speaking,
that's
speaking from someone
so
who
yeah, and
was
then it's
born
sort of
in
just
December, speaking from someone who was born in December, I don't want my December
oof,
taken away.
oof. The South African December is a culture in itself, like so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was also a big sacrifice at that point. And then I think about like 6 months into me doing it full time, it started to really catch like traction.
Yeah.
And then I'd say this time last year, like it's crazy actually, because this time last year was just before lockdown started.
Yeah.
And I just hired my first 1 or 2 employees.
Oh wow.
So it was actually perfect. It was actually perfect timing, God's grace. Like
Yeah.
I see these, like sometimes I look back at the story and then I'm like, some things, because I don't believe in coincidences. I'm not someone who believes in, I believe everything happens for a reason. I
Yeah.
believe especially the God I serve is a very deliberate one.
Yeah.
So literally, like, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before lockdown started, I just hired my first 2 employees. And then when lockdown came, yes, it was like I was working. Yes, I was pushing,
Yeah.
because it was crazy. It was crazy. Like I think during lockdown, like before lockdown versus during that lockdown, I think operations in the business 10x. I'm not even joking. I think it
Yeah.
literally 10x. So it was that whole demand. I think what really pushed me and shaped me now and how I am now is that it was such a big amount of demand in such a short time frame, and I had so little time to work with. I remember I was putting in, like I used to like I was literally working Monday to Sunday from like 8:30 till 11 at night.
Oh
It was
wow.
crazy. Like it was crazy during like hard lockdown. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And then eventually I started to get the systems in place and make it a lot easier, and knew I had to delegate a lot more because I like the 3 of us, me and my 2 employees, it wasn't going to be enough. So I got on more hands,
Yeah. Yeah.
scaled it and everything. And then it caught on even more. And I'm grateful now that during that time, like you said before, during that time, it was a really stressful time for every business.
Yes. Yes.
And it still is now. So
That's
I'm
true.
extremely, I'm still like, there's not a day I don't go by waking up extremely grateful, just because I know the position I find myself in now compared to the environment, in terms of businesses.
Yes.
There's very few businesses flourishing in today's sort of economic state. So I'm super grateful, like really, really grateful.
Oh, this is actually an awesome story, man. And while you're speaking, there you spoke about
Oops.
while you're speaking, you spoke about that you got into delegation, and now what plans did you, or what type of plans did you put in place into you getting people to how to delegate people? What did you really do? Like, yeah,
Okay. Well, luckily, because it was all in Mishima and stuff like that, and Mishima has this Facebook group and things like that.
yeah,
I posted on there that we needed, help and a few shoppers and things like that, and we got like a ton of responses. So the pick of the bunch was like I had the pick of the bunch in terms of the amount of people,
yeah,
and then it was also just finding the right people. And I don't know, I've always had this sort of like a sixth sense, like I can sort of read people. So luckily from the get-go and through all the interviews and things like that, I could
yeah,
sort of see which were the type of people I sort of wanted in and my brand associated with, because at the end of the day, your employees carry the brand for you.
yes.
So you know what I mean? So in terms of that, that's how I got it off on the ground during hard lockdown, but it's a lot more complicated
Yeah,
now, if I could say so.
true, true. And the thing is, what I like is that you said you kind of looked for people that could associate with your brand. And speaking about brands, I always like to look at brands like Apple, and think basically Apple is not Apple without Steve Jobs, and Airnd is not Airnd without Kowen. And it makes a big difference, especially for people who want to get into business, to know that you, as the owner of the business, you are the brand. It's not your business name, but it's you who's the brand. And that business speaks for you, basically. It speaks out loud to you. So, and you're saying that you got into the whole social media. And how has that worked for you? And which directions would you say other business people, especially in just in the market, other business people, what type of marketing tools do you think they can use, especially in this situation?
Okay, cool. I actually like the first part that you said, that the owner is the brand, like the owner is the brand of the business. And I just want to touch on that topic because for the first, I think, year and a half, I was running all the errands myself. I think I've easily completed over 2,000 plus errands myself, just by myself. Over those. And then over the course of that, you build this clientele base and the clientele base. And I'm so glad I did that because when I started hiring, it wasn't smooth off the get-go and things like that. There were issues, there were crinkles that we needed to iron out, but because the clients and the clientele knew me and they were like, no, this is Kowen's business, we know him. They were sort of more accepting to the mistakes and things like that. And they were like, no, Airnd as a brand in the area was already well established as a well-serviced, customer-focused and eccentric business. So that also helped me intensely, so for people who feel like rushing is the answer, it's really not. Like, I don't think it would have caught traction like it did if I didn't first complete the first year and a half building such a solid foundation for it to build on, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But and then to get on to your other question in terms of social media, social media has done wonders for my business, absolutely wonders. When I first started out Airnd, I knew future-wise that social media was going to be the sort of power tool that was going to catapult many businesses, not just mine. So at the beginning, when I first took on Airnd full-time, I spent the first 3 months doing an digital marketing course as well. So just to learn the fundamentals, the basics, and then it's amazing what you can find on YouTube and Google and that type of thing. So like in terms of that, it's catapulted my business intensely from, Instagram to especially Facebook, because obviously you've got to, manage your advertising to your customer base and age and things like that. And obviously mine are more mature. So Facebook is the more mature type of audience that you're looking for. I learned how to do Facebook advertising properly, how to get the maximum amount for my buck. How to hire through Facebook. We do most of our hiring through Facebook now as well. And I'd say if any business owner, like I wouldn't even say just the young ones, I'd say any business owner, if you don't have some sort of hand or some sort of, base level social media information, you won't last, I'd say, the next 5 years. I wouldn't say so. Because if you think about it, my business, if I just started my business 20 years ago, I probably wouldn't be where I am now.
Yeah.
Because 20 years ago, I don't even think there was Facebook. There wasn't any Instagram. Social media wasn't as big as it is now.
True. Yes.
So I was like, I don't know, like I didn't have to have millions to start this. I didn't have to have, funding backing me to start this off. I just had to know how to get stretch my money as far as possible.
Yeah. And a lot of people, when I speak to a lot of people, when we talk about business, and they always tell me, no, dude, I need funding to start a business. And I always go back to, there's one guy, I did the Global Leadership Summit a lot. And there's one guy who spoke to me the one Global Leadership Summit. His name is Sam Adiemi, and he's a pastor in Nigeria. His first statement when he came in was like, as he introduced his topic, he asked the question that, all of this is happening in a church's context, and all of you here serve God. But now, in the beginning, God did not have any silver, he did not have any gold, he didn't have money, nothing to create the world. So he created it through the word. And in the sense of that, even businesses, I believe, to start up a business, you need to speak to people. And there is people out there who are willing to fund as well. And there's people out there who are willing to trust your brand. But you need to speak to people in order for your business to start. And then looking into your business, you're saying that you didn't need any funding or anything, but what pushed you so hard and what drove you? What was your drive into beginning the business?
Honestly, I've always had this sort of like, I want to call it like an itch, like inside, like ever since I could, like the earliest I could remember, probably I was like maybe 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that itch was. Like, obviously I was like, I'm going to go to uni, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to do all of that.
Yeah.
And that type of thing. And then I remember when I had the thought to start the business, I was watching TV, and then that itch came again. And then I was like, nah, I can't waste my time like this. And I was like, I went to my room, I got like this plastic thing that you cover your books with. I put it on the wall, I drew a mind map, and I think I drew up in like a space of half an hour, I drew up like 6 different businesses.
Oh wow.
And then I was like, okay, cool, I need to choose one. And then I was like, this Airnd thing seems the most viable one. Let me go with that one. And I always think back to that because I'm like, imagine how my life would have been if I chose any of the other like 5.
Yeah.
Type of thing, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's also like it's a certain drive. It was a drive to I wanted to have total control over how I want to live my life. I didn't want, if I have a bad day, if I'm feeling sick or I'm not feeling good or mentally I'm not right, I didn't want to have to pander to a boss and say, listen, because some bosses aren't really, they don't really take the employees' feelings into consideration.
Yes.
As well. And I didn't want to, and I wanted to see just how far I could push myself personally.
Okay.
So it was also a personal challenge. I was like, I'm young, I'm 20 years old. I've literally got nothing to lose. Literally. I was like, if I fail at everything I do for the next 8 years, I'll be 28 and I'll still be young, like really, really young,
Yeah.
So I was like, I've got time. I'm not going to go straight into the whole systematic job, that type of thing. Because what you'll usually see is people do that and then they, 38, 39 and be like, shit, like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But then you've got the kids, you've got the bond, you've got the wife, you've got, so in certain cases, you've got your parents to take care of and you've got all these other responsibilities that you need to do. So it's just not viable at that age. And I didn't want to live a life where I'm unhappy because I don't want to be 18, 90 and look back and say, yes, when I was 20, I should have started that thing.
That's true. That is so true.
So I'm a big fan of living your life how you want to, doing what makes you, the happiest, as long as it doesn't interfere with anyone else's happiness.
Yeah.
And I don't want to live my life with regrets ever. So that's why I'm still going full on this business because I know I keep raising the bar of what I think I can do. And then when I get to the next step, then I sort of wallow in that stage for a bit. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see where I can push myself next.
Okay.
That's
That's interesting, and just the fact that you're saying you don't want to live your life with regret, and I like that part, because for me as a person, if I don't want to live my life with regrets, I have to do the thing now, and
Yeah.
especially with us being young in a South Africa like the South Africa we have now. And a lot of young people, when you speak to some, they talk about, no, others were already had their parents who were well off and they already managed to start something. And, always, or some would say, no, but it's because I'm Black. I cannot make it. I'm not going to make it in a South Africa like this. And for you, you are not even in basically, you are considered a Black person in terms of what culture would say, in a South African culture would say. And for you, being a young Black person, starting up a business, basically in a very white neighborhood, for lack of a better word, you have actually shown that you can make it irregardless of wherever you are. But all you need to do is to just start. And what would you say to speak into something along those lines?
I'm glad you actually mentioned that, because I'm also a big believer in, you can either complain about where you started, or you can, play the cards that you were dealt in life. Because it's true. Like, I'll be honest, I was in comparison to the average situation in where I started. I'm in a wealthy neighborhood and that type of thing. But if you think about it, if you take the collective of kids who are my age, I remember I started it with that old Merc I inherited from my grandma when she passed away. So I had a car. My parents didn't give me any funding. I think I started with like $300 in my bank account.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I was like, listen, I've got a car. I've got an environment of wealthy clients. I don't have much experience in terms of, work, or in terms of, technical abilities, in terms of like an engineer or that type of thing. So let me see what I can offer myself. So I was like, what can I do for you type of thing.
Yeah.
And then it's and then I was like, do you need this? You need this, you need this. And then that sort of grew. So you could either complain, there's kids who get, 50,000, 100,000 from my parents.
Sorry,
I was never going to get
go back to these kids who get, because it just paused for a moment. Sorry.
There's kids who get 50 to 100,000 rand for a startup, for their first business and stuff like that. So like you can play it across the entire spectrum, but in the end, you can, like I said, you can either complain or you can do, and I chose to do. So I chose to take advantage of the situation. There's 1,000 kids in midstream who have their own vehicle and could have done exactly the same. It didn't take much, in initial investment. There was actually no initial investment. The platform was there. Someone just had to execute on it, and I did. So
that's very much motivating. I like that. And the other thing is that, it's motivating me, especially to see more young people getting into spaces of business. And you are basically a leader, and you're leading a certain society right now. And this is what we need to see more in our spaces, anywhere else. And I like to see more young people like you being leaders, and which is why I feel like our country can do more. We can do more in this country as young people, and it can build on to become better, especially if we stop bringing up the blame game and start thinking of, let's just do what we have to do. and let's not wait for the government to help us with something. You know, like for you, you didn't even need your degree to get this business going. You just needed you, right?
Yeah.
And for others might think, oh, I still need to get a degree first. I still need to get a business degree. I still need to get this and that. And this is the route we need to take, that we need to start acting upon making upon the decisions that we've made. We need to act upon them. We need to work through them, and that way I think we will succeed in this country especially. So yeah, I don't know, do you have any more words that you'd like to say?
Yeah, like you said, like a lot of people, I think, I don't know, with my brain and how my brain works, my brain has this key element, like it oversimplifies everything, because my brain hates thinking critically. I'd rather take the long way so I can see the whole picture and then sort of condense it into, because like now I see the picture a lot more clear. Like like you said, I didn't have any business experience. I never worked in a business. I never worked in an office. Everything I did, I was like, okay, cool. This seems like the right thing to do. Let me do it. Boom, failed. Okay, cool. I've learned that. Now let me take what I've learned from that. What can I do next? Can I maybe improve on that? Can I maybe switch on that? Like I think a lot of people would be a lot further in their current situation if they just did instead of thinking. I think there's a lot less doers and there's too many thinkers. There's way too many thinkers.
We're always procrastinating, and
always.
I like that you just spoke about that you've even failed within your business, and out of your failures, you said, okay, I've done this. Let me do something else. Let me try something else, and you've learned from that failure. And for me, what I always say is failure is it's like you tripping over a rock as you're walking in a pathway, walking somewhere. I'd rather pick up that failure and walk with it, walk with that rock, even no matter how heavy it is. I'll walk with it knowing that it might help me. May never know, you know. When you might get to a stream and you need to jump over the stream. What do? You throw the rock into the middle of the stream and it will help you and elevate you to the next side, you know? So
that was a great metaphor. Did you just think of that? That was great.
It's something I always say. I don't know where I got that one from, but yeah.
That was a great metaphor. That's so powerful. That's a really powerful metaphor.
Yeah, our failures, they might be heavy sometimes, but let's just continue walking with those failures. They will help us in front wherever we get to, because we might get to a very difficult position or situation, and we might need to say, oh, but I once did this and I failed. Maybe I can use this here now, you know? So yeah. I think, we should have that type of a mindset. And just another question I want to ask, what was your greatest failure in the business where you felt like, you know what, I'm giving up on this, maybe? And then you didn't give up, obviously. Oof.
I don't think there was ever a time I was going to be like, nah, this is it. Now I'm done and that type of thing. But there has been a few where I've been like, shit, how am I going to get out of this one? Type of thing. So for one that just comes off the top of my head, I got approached by this one company to do an activation at a golf day. And she was like, yeah, there'll be a lot of clients and things like that'll be there and that type of thing. You can, show off your brand there. It's a new clientele base. So for me, I was like, okay, cool. Then they were like, yeah. And I think that in total, I spent around, I think at that point, I spent around 15,000. And I remember back then, 15,000 was like everything I had. Everything I had, I was like, let me just throw it in. And I was like, maybe, high risk, high reward type of thing. Maybe this is the big break, the big traction that I'm going to get. And then I remember on the golf day, the morning of the golf day, it's windy. Like, I was like, when has it ever been windy in Centurion? And on this day, like literally on this day, it's the most. Now, if you're a golfer and you know it's windy, you're probably not going to pitch up.
Yeah.
So some people didn't even pitch up. Like half the people didn't even pitch up. My signs and gazebos and things were all over the place. We were there. Like the golfers that did come, like they were there, and they just sort of looked like, okay, like they were just there because and literally after like that day, literally nothing came from that day, like nothing. And I put so much money into that. And I remember thinking, yes, I'm so bummed because now I just put everything in there and I've got to rebuild everything again for the next step. But I never thought I was like, cool, now I know that golf day is on my thing type of thing.
I actually have an idea for that one. I know you don't play golf. I don't play golf, but I've got golf clubs. I've got a whole set, everything. Yeah. Why don't we start playing golf?
I would love golf. I was even back in the day when I still live in midstream. I used to go and net a few, and it's actually I was like, I get why old people play this. It's so relaxing. Like on a Sunday afternoon, you're there with a beer.
Let's do that together. Let's start playing golf together. I want to learn. I don't even know how to. I only know how to play putt.
We'll learn together. Learn together.
Let's go. Let's play golf. When there's a golf day, you can advertise at the same time you play. I think that's even a better way because now when you play, you get to meet the people as well. You're not just there to advertise, but you're there as well to engage with them. And when they ask you questions, you're like, yeah, this is what I do. This is a business I do.
Yeah, definitely. Like I also prefer. It's so weird. Like I love business with all my heart and soul, but sort of like some businesses are like business environments and things like that. I feel like they're way too serious. And I feel like a lot of people would gain a lot more trust and get things done a lot faster if there was a bit more of a personal, social touch to it. Which is why, I don't. Like even when I go to my meetings, I don't really dress up in suits or something like that. It's sort of like what you see is what you get. Like I'm not here to do you in. Like I've had deals, like you said, another one where another story actually was there was this one client. I'm not gonna name any names or that type of thing. And then it was also way back in the day. And then I did a bunch of work for this client and things like that. And like they seemed like such a top person, they dressed well, had the fancy car, the business looked, well established, but then they did me in. They were like, I'm just not paying you. I didn't sign any contract with you, I won't be paying you for anything. And like I was still quite young. I was like 21 then. Like, some people will literally do in a 21-year-old kid. Yeah, because I'm still a kid, just to, elevate themselves. And I was just like, it's whatever. I was obviously quite mad. But yeah, that's like, these are the things, these are like, there's going to be a lot of hiccups. Like, and I know there's still going to be a lot more, but I know I've been through enough to know I can get past them. Like,
look, yeah, and the best part about business is that the only way your business can flourish is through the relationships that you've created. And for sure, I've seen that. I know that you've created a whole lot of different relationships that are basically working to your advantage. And I'm actually glad that I'm like glad because you're a young guy and you're into business. And you didn't wait for someone else to tell you, why don't you go into business? But you literally just went there, took the step and took that first step, which a lot of people don't take. A lot of people procrastinate and just think, let me just do this. No, let me just do this. Why don't I just wait until I get some income? And for you, you're like, I got $300. What can I do? What can I do? I'm going to do this. And you just did it. And I always say, like Nike says, just do it. Don't wait.
Just do it. Literally, just do it. It's not that complicated. Once you start, you'll see it. From the get-go, it's not that complicated. You'll learn as you go along. You'll meet a lot of people. I've met people who've taught me more in 2 hours than I have in an entire year at university. So
Yeah.
you really meet and you create and you network, and as long as your intentions are pure, I promise you, you'll get really, really far. You'll get really, really far.
And another thing I like was that previously you did speak about that when you were you even learned how to do your online marketing. You actually did an online marketing course, which a lot of people don't get to do. And you know, there's a whole lot of things that you can learn online. And we keep saying that, no, I have to go to school for this, but you don't necessarily have to go to school. Just do your research.
No, and yeah, and even the course I did, it was completely free. Like, Google, like I'm gonna give you guys some nuggets now. Google has like a learning center, and there's a bunch of free courses you can do. Like, and it's very informative. I mean, it's Google, so, and it's all free. So my digital course that I did was the one by Google, and it was completely free. So in my spare time after work in the evenings, or in my breaks or something, then I'd go and I'd learn. And so the information's there. The information is always there. I think people just want to find an excuse not to do, like you said.
Yeah, that's cool, man. You know, and yeah, it takes a lot of people a lot of time. It takes people a lot of time to do something, and you didn't take time. You just did it, and I'm really like this. This for me, this is inspiring, bro. It inspires me, and I always say that. My biggest thing is I want to see young people being in leadership positions, young people owning business. I want to see young people doing great things. You know, if you look at the history of Martin Luther King, dude he died at the age of what, 35, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But dude made an impact that's impacted the whole world. You know, the whole world.
Yeah.
The Constitution of America keeps changing because of the things he said way back.
He did.
You know, so when did this guy had a doctorate in his 20s. He already had a doctorate.
Yeah.
You know, this is what we're supposed to be doing as young people. We've got this. We've got enough information to do these things, to create things. Look at you. You've created jobs for others. And no other people have created jobs for others in this, especially in this during this time for COVID. Yeah. The government can't even create jobs for its own people. And you have created, even if it was for 2 or 3 or 4 people, you've created jobs. Yeah. And this is what we need to see. This is what we need to see. And I think people need to follow suit. People need to start following suit and looking at people like you. Stop looking at the Bill Gates and start looking at your own people around you who are creating these jobs, who are creating opportunities for themselves. And we need to do that. And we need to start creating our own opportunities. And yeah, thanks, man, for the conversation today. Sorry, I talked too much.
Oof, it was beautiful. No. You were having it. I was like, go, keep growing. You were in the zone there. So I was like, let me not interrupt you.
Yeah, man. Sorry.
No, but it was honestly such a great conversation. Thank you for having me on your. I know if it continues like this, I know it's gonna be big real soon. And hopefully I can have this we can do like a recap in 2 or 3 years back. So it's about to be power in the next year or 2. So I'm planning, there's some big things I'm planning, some big risks I'm taking. So we'll see. I don't know where I'm gonna be in the next 2 years. But hopefully we can or even in the next year. We'll see how it goes. But I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Cool, man. Thank you very much, man. And I'm glad you did this. We're gonna do another one again. I'm into this, and I want us to just, you know, maybe even in the next 2 months, we might just come through, or in a month's time, we can come through and just have another conversation. And it doesn't necessarily be about business, but it's just about life. And yeah, thanks very much for joining me. Sure. Yeah. And if anyone else wants to know or wants to get hold of you, where do they get hold of you?
Oof. I don't know. Like I'm sort of on my own personal journey now, so it's kind of difficult. But if you're talking about business wise,
Yeah,
I'm always
business-wise.
available. If it's in terms of business, you can reach me at info@Airnd. It's a weird spelling, AI. Info@airnd.co.za. Or you can reach us on our business WhatsApp line 081-535-2411. And then but in terms of personal wise, I don't really have much of a personal life.
No, not
Yeah,
personal. Talking business, in terms of business, and it would be nice that sometimes people can contact you and just talk to you about business, about how you started your business. It would be nice to have other young people, just looking up to you as a person to guide them as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and be blessed, brother.
Thanks, same to you, brother. We're definitely gonna go for that coffee. Definitely.
We have to, man.
All right, cheers, brother. Have a great one.
All right.